Hello, hello, hello. My name is Muyo Adigun, and this is the Redacted Nothings Show. I am back with Claude Williams, the founder of Dream Nation, the practical dreamer movement. So, welcome, Claude. Welcome back. How you
Thank you.
feeling?
I'm doing well. Good to be back. It's been quite a long time since the last time we spoke, and I think a lot has changed in my life and the world since then.
So, it's nearly been exactly 9 years. So, we interviewed back in March 2017. All right.
That's
So,
insane.
back then, I think you were 26. You were doing Dream Nation. You were doing a bunch of events with it. You were doing TEDx talks. How are you doing now?
How am I doing now? Older, probably more mature, wiser, um, definitely on a slightly different pathway. But I'm doing good. I have to say, I feel like I'm really blessed and really grateful for where life has taken me so far.
There's so much to get into because you accomplished so much in the 9 years I haven't spoken to you, right? Like becoming trustees, becoming part of a trustee, being the chair for things like the NHS and small charities as well, doing a lot of work with dyslexia organizations. So it would be good to get into that. But before we do that, I want to ask if you remember when you came into the studio in 2017, I asked people what songs they want to be used in the show. Do you remember what those songs were that you brought in?
What's 17? That's a bit, yeah, hardly even recognized now.
Well, let's see if you still listen to these songs. So it's very gospel inspired. So it's Sin City by Kareem Manuel, Maybe One Day by Dre Murray, Can't Stop Me, Andy Mineo,
Right,
Dear Miss Lauren Propaganda,
right.
and Feed Me by Lecrae. Are those still getting playtime?
Uh, Kinda, not as much. They definitely still come through in the rotation every now and again, but
It's good to
yeah,
hear.
I wouldn't say they're the most played right now.
Hmm. Well, back in 2017, you spoke a bit about well, I was interviewing you about Dream Nation. And one of the quotes you said is that you're winding down your other business interests so you can concentrate on Dream Nation. Can you explain what Dream Nation is and where you got with it?
It's more what Dream Nation was, I should say at this point.
Okay, yeah.
So, Dream Nation was a personal development company. Can even tell you what I would have described it as back in 2017, but I can walk you through where my thinking on that evolved to.
Hmm.
We were focused on doing events that were focused on personal development, follow the ethos of being practical dreamers. So have a dream for your life, but then take steps to make that a reality. And we, from with an event standpoint, we wanted to do things that made the personal development industry feel more interesting and more inviting to a set of people who often were left on the outside of it. So we did conferences, networking events, and creative showcases, but they were quite different to what was already out there. As a result, we attracted quite a different audience. We grew to pretty big, a couple thousand people were part of the community in one way or another. Had some pretty big names that we both collaborated with, whether those be Google or LinkedIn, as well as quite a few big names that came up on spoke on our stages. So at the time, I think at the last conference we did, we held that actually in collaboration with Google. I believe we had Anne Boding, who was the founder of Starling Bank. At the time, Starling had literally just launched.
Oh,
So it was
when
just,
was this, sorry?
what's that, sorry?
What year was that?
That was 2017 as well. 2017, yeah. We had Anne Boding, she had just launched Starling Bank a couple of months before. We had Christine Horogu as well, the Olympic champion. If I'm not mistaken, at least then I think she had won the most gold medals, but I don't want to be quoted on that one, to be honest with you. But Olympic legend regardless, and then a few other amazing people who had taken part as well. That was the last event. Where we were beginning to head towards was really thinking about how can we use technology to help spread the ideas a lot more. So we were actually beginning to explore AI way back then. what way too ahead of our time. We did not have the skills or capabilities, and the technology that everyone is now using did not exist then as well. So, and that's a common theme, I guess, of a lot of my career is I just tend to be a little bit too early,
Yeah.
um, which then means that you're often climbing up a pretty high mountain. I guess, but one day that will likely pay off where we won't be too early, we'll be right on time, and ahead of the pack. I'm looking forward to seeing what that results in.
Because literally, yeah, you said we're beginning to really investigate AI. Is there any way AI can be used to help improve people's performances? I would love to eventually create computer programs that can basically work as your own personal coach. Now, that is literally what people are using with ChatGPT, Claude on a day-to-day basis now. That
Yeah,
is crazy.
yeah. This is not the first time in my life that I was just way too early. One thing that I began to really understand about myself is that I'm often can see what's coming. I'm often quite ahead of the general zeitgeist of it. But what I haven't learned to master yet is how to position myself correctly to take advantage of it when the world catches up. So yeah, Dream Nation was probably one of the biggest examples of that. The whole creating a marketing agency happened in my business before, a little bit too early. If I'd launched it later during the influencer era, it would have been a very different situation. And even a little known fact about me is I had launched a podcast back in 2013, I think it was. And then podcasting didn't go on to blow up until nearly 10 years later. So it's a constant theme in my life, being super early to something. But I hadn't learned yet at that stage how to make the most of it.
Is that the Behind the Dreams podcast?
No, so it was the Dream Nation podcast that I had launched back then. I think it had a different name. I think it had a different name, but because of how early it was, that what you couldn't put it on Spotify, getting it on Apple was much, much, much harder. So I think we just had it on SoundCloud. And yeah, once again, super early.
But yeah, and you couldn't take advantage of it. So what happened with Dream Nation then? You said that was one of your last events in 2017.
Yeah, that was, I'll say, the last large scale event that we did. No, that's not true. That's a lie. I forgot. We went on to begin to work towards bringing it back in 2019, I believe it was. Did a we did a gala, and that was pretty good, I'll say. Very different to what we used to do rather. We scaled it down significantly so that we can have more stronger financial footing. And with that, the reception of it was really strong. People enjoyed it, and it was like, okay, fine, let's get this going and start bringing back Dream Nation properly. If you notice the year that I said, that was
Yeah.
winter 2019, as we were working towards going for the next gala, which was going to be significantly bigger, would hit. And that just really decimated the event space for quite a number of years. We had some hard times as well because we had already put down the money for the deposit on the venue. It was going to be a much, much, much bigger scale event than what we'd ever done for the gala previously. So it was a lot of money. And yeah, the venue didn't want to give us back that money.
That's
Yeah, there's a lot of complications back then in terms of how the industry didn't know how to handle something like a global pandemic because no one had lived through it yet. So they wasn't quite sure whether I was entitled to it, whether their insurance covered it, or whatever that might be. So that completely derailed the company, and also was quite demotivating to be honest with you.
yeah.
Having just as you got back on your feet, you revved yourself up to something so big, and then something even bigger, which literally changed the world, derailed the goals and visions that I had for the business.
Yeah, that must have been a real low point for you. I mean, sorry that happened. I mean, a lot of the interviews I've done, like the pandemic, did impact a lot of the entrepreneurs that I spoke to. Because yeah, I was speaking to them in 2017, 2018,
Yeah.
just before as like they were building up their audiences, and then the pandemic hits, and all of them have to re-strategize. So, what did you decide to do once the pandemic hit? How did you bounce back?
Great question. A little bit before, so what I had done in between 2017 and 2019, I had taken a significant amount of time off for Dream Nation anyway. So I was on more of a personal journey to bounce back. That was like linked with mental health, to be honest with you. I was burnt out. I was definitely struggling with depression and anxiety. A couple of things had happened, some of it related to Dream Nation, some of it unrelated. So that took me out for quite some time, which was part of why the 2019 gala was like such a big moment for me, because it was okay, back on my feet, putting myself back out there in the world. Also, it was recovering financially because probably the thing that I didn't talk about is Dream Nation was very expensive to run, and given that I was effectively subsidizing everything myself, the tickets for events were cheaper than they needed to be, using my own money to begin to explore stuff like AI. That once again, ChatGPT, etc., didn't exist, so way more expensive back then as well. It was just getting, oh, and still also paying my team at the same time as well. So yeah, I got myself into a massive financial hole. And then at the point where we stopped doing events, the income stream for the business stopped as well. So I took some time out to get myself right again, like whether that be physically looking after myself, mentally getting myself back into the right state, and financially putting myself on a pathway where money was not going to be such a stressor in my life. So that was 2017 to 2019. After 20, after the pandemic occurred, I started to think about, okay, fine, don't know what the world's going to look like moving forward. Stream Nation and the mission of it very much so, it was still on my heart, and to be honest with you, it still is on my heart to this day. I don't think there's a world in which I won't ever be thinking about how to bring Dream Nation back in one form or another. Uh, I also probably at that stage have become a lot more mature and realize that, you know what, you need to make sure that you put your own mask on first. And I also realized that I needed to learn a lot more about leadership, management, business, and all these areas so that I could become a better leader and CEO, so that whatever company I went on to create in the future would be significantly more successful. So I took up a role with Birkbeck University. I was running their business accelerator for a couple of years. So that was helping their entrepreneurs to set up and run and scale up their companies. And then after that, oh, and also while doing that, I should say, I was beginning to build out this career as a board member. So I had already taken on the role as a trustee for an immigration charity, went on to become the chair of that charity. And then from there, I went on to join the board of an NHS trust. The
Yes.
following year, I went on to join the board of a housing association as well, and really use that as an opportunity to a make some money. To be real, the additional income was helpful, particularly at that stage of my life. But more importantly, was to be able to give back in a meaningful way. So
Mm.
one of the things that really is a big part of my heart, as I say, the mission behind Dream Nation is never really going to leave me. And if you want to create a world where people can become practical dreamers, I had realized that it's important that you remove some of the barriers that stop people from being able to pursue their dreams. So the board roles that I've taken on in housing and healthcare were really me beginning to understand more what are those kind of societal structural barriers that stop people being able to move forward. But then, in addition to that, as well as a board member, I was really beginning to learn what did it mean to be an executive. So I had a lot of natural leadership skills, which was great and effective. I didn't have managerial skills because I'd never been truly in that environment. I just kind of fumbled my way through it with my previous business. And I had no executive skill sets. And I say that because if I'm being honest with you, I didn't even know that there was an executive skill set that we needed to learn in order to be great. So
What is an executive skill set? Sorry, versus like a managerial skill set?
yeah, no, that's a great question. Think of it like this. I now think see them in threes, right? Leadership, management, executive. Be a good leader, you need to be able to do three things, and that is to have a clear vision for your team, or your organization rather, and you need to be able to articulate that vision well internally and externally. You then need to be able to build a team that can help you deliver that vision. And then finally, you then need to be able to provide that team with the things they need to be successful. That's the leadership side. Being a good manager, that's about putting these systems and processes in place to get the most out of the team that you have in front of you. But being an executive is where you need both of those two things without a doubt. And to be clear, all of these things are intertwined. They're not just completely distinct from each other. Being an executive is a way of thinking, acting, and operating. So at this stage, you're now really thinking in terms of like governance, you're thinking in terms of systems, you're thinking in terms of vision long term, which, like I say, intertwines with the other two, but is almost distinct in the way that you have to force yourself to really think, act, and operate. Where you have the fires in front of you right now, but really that's the management side of it, or getting your managers or your heads of or your more junior staff members, like helping them to solve that. But really, what you need to do is become the architect that can build a system and a structure that is going to be able to test, like stand the test of time, but not just survive, but actually thrive and move towards whatever that strategic vision is that was set.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that really crystallizes it for me, actually, because, like you said, they are so distinct in terms of the difference between a leader and like an executive, but you can still encompass all of those values in like your working style. So I wanted to ask, of the experiences that you had of being like a trustee and a board member, which one like really sticks out to you in terms of like your impact, both your impact on it and its impact on you?
Good question. And this is the funny thing about being a board member in any context. It's not really about you and the impacts that you can make. Your job is not to come through and be the superstar, the guy with all the ideas and to inspire. It's that that's not you. If there's anyone in the organization that's their role, that's the CEO. So, and that's even assuming that that's even healthy. Really, it should be a team of people bringing that type of energy and mentality towards it. So, as a board member, you need to begin to switch into more of a mentality of a steward and also one that is there to serve. On one hand, you are ultimately the people responsible for line managing the CEO. The board are effectively the only people that can hire or fire the CEO. So you are making sure that you've got the right person in place, they've got the right support in place, and that they're being held accountable for delivering results. But being a CEO is also difficult. Oftentimes, the board is the only place where the CEO can go and be able to share some of those real fears and difficulties they're facing. So it's finding that balance between challenge and support. So it's about making sure that the right, once again, you won't be in the day to day of the company or the organization. So it's more about just making sure that the right policies, processes, procedures, ways of thinking are in place, and even stewarding the vision, the strategy. Like as a board, you are responsible for holding that vision and strategy, and then making sure that your executive team, the CEO, and everybody else is actually consistently moving towards it and not getting caught up with either the difficulties of the challenges in front of them or the latest hype. And so it's like keeping people on track, supporting them, but ultimately making sure that the organization is fulfilling its mission.
Like it's airy how prophetic you're being versus your 2017 interview, right? Because you said, I want to relook at the HR industry and really modernize it, create a cultural change in the way corporations are training their staff, train their so their potential is really met. How much better would it be for the individual and the company? So rather than doing it through like the HR industry, you've actually done it through going in at the board level as well. So do you think that's still like a driving value for you in terms of wanting to develop people?
That is weird. I had no memory of saying that. Uh,
Crazy. You
but,
are cooking.
but no, it is 100% who I am. Like as
Yeah.
I've got older, learned more about myself, it's become clear that there are certain things that are just part of my value set. And maximizing potential is a theme that has always been there. What I don't know if I would have said this in my past interview, but before Dream Nation, my career plan was to become a basketball coach and was already doing so. My first company was in that space. And I realized that I've always just wanted to, because I've always been able to see the potential of people. So then it's been something really deeply important to me to help draw that out. And that's why I created Dream Nation. It was, like I say, be practical dreamers, have a dream, but then Dream Nation wasn't there to give you the dream. Dream Nation was there to help you make that dream a reality. HR was how I thought I was going to do it. But now, actually, as both a board member and an executive, the way that my brain is now wired is how do I create the environment where people will thrive? And if you can do that, then you're going to get the best out of everybody. Everyone will be happier. Everyone will make more money. Everybody will be in better health. And you can have like both a meaningful work life, a meaningful life outside of work, and also have an impact on the world around you. So I think that's just ingrained in who I am as a person, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and just for the record, you did mention the basketball tournaments as well that you
Yeah.
used to. Did you still play basketball?
I was playing earlier this week and my legs are still hurting as a
Yeah,
result.
you mentioned your injury as well, so I wanted to check that. Like,
You're definitely getting older.
yeah,
Doing not
26.
bounce back as fast.
So, I really like that attitude of, I guess maybe how being an executive has like changed you or maybe evolved you. Because in the past, you said like, as an entrepreneur, if you don't actually put in the work, you will lose your opportunity to do what you do. I've had to work at restaurants before, straight serving tables just to pay the bills. Essentially going, if you don't put in the work, you're not eating. Do you feel like you still have that same like hunger working in a different environment?
Fantastic. I also just realized I want to come back to that, but I've realized that I didn't actually tell you what I do today as my main thing.
Oh, I thought it was so many different things. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So those are all the side quests, really, the board stuff and all of that. I've the two main things that I'm focused on in my day job. I am the director of innovation for Impact and Urban Health, which is effectively a health fund. We invest 10 to £1 million a year into Lambeth and Southwark to help reduce health inequalities. And outside of that, I am also working towards creating a new business as well. And the reason why that came to mind is because that hunger you spoke of, or that I spoke of, I should say, 9 years ago, it still exists. It's more mature now in the sense that I am probably much more balanced in that you don't not being hungry is okay. You can still eat. There will be jobs where people will hire you where you can do your 9 to 5. You can come home, come to your wife and kids, and have a balanced leisurely life. Like that's okay. That's not a problem. There will probably be a limitation on how far you go, but life is not about climbing the corporate ladder. Neither is it about making the most money possible. And also, to be real, it's also not necessarily about making the biggest impact in the world. Like everybody gets to choose the life they want to have. And if you're not choosing any of those things, then you don't need to have that type of hunger, and that's okay. The
Yeah, yeah,
really what I would now say is that if you say you want to do X, Y, or Z, then you need to act according to that, and you will need to hunger accordingly to achieve that. So if you want a normal life, which is not a bad thing, like I think the younger me probably was quite immature about that. It's okay to it's okay to leave your work in your 9 to 5 and come home and be a fantastic husband, a fantastic wife, and that be enough for you. That's great. But my problem will be if you tell me you want to become a billionaire or millionaire or do this and change that or end cancer or whatever it might be, whatever is driving you, and it's something that's out of the ordinary, then you need to have an out of the ordinary drive, work ethic, and hunger. Otherwise, you're just talking. Ultimately, if I go back to what I've always said, you're not being a practical dreamer. You're just being a dreamer. So that's what I would say to that. To answer your question about me, is that hunger still there? It's deeper than ever. But the difference now is it has the structure around it and the structure and the strategy around it to make it effective to actually be able to make a difference and achieve. So young me, all the energy in the world, also was very broke, also was very tired, also had all these other stuff going on. Like I literally burnt out and had like messed up my own mental health by not being able to like live life in a more balanced way. I brought into the whole hustle culture situation. Older me, I now think like an executive. I think sustainability. I think about how do I do this for the next 50 years or to the day that I literally die. I think how do I do this and look after a family? I think how do I do this and not just financially provide, but be mentally, emotionally, and physically present at the same time for the things that matter. Because yes, my goals matter to me and they are the things that drive me. Yes, I want to be extremely wealthy. Yes, I do want to impact the world on a huge level. Those things are still there, but now there are also things I understand that are equally or more important. And so the question is, how do I build a life? How do I build the systems? How do I get the routines that allow me to do both in a way in which I'm never going to burn out again? Because I've been there, I have burnt out. I have had the mental health difficulties from the stress that I put myself under. I know that I cannot serve my future family or my team or the people that count on me if I'm also not building my life in a way that allows me to sustain.
No, I really, really appreciate that message of like choosing your own dream. Like, don't choose somebody else's dream, but also if it's your dream, then go for it. Like, don't be ashamed to say, yeah, I just want to have a 9 to 5 and come home to my wife and my kids and then sit down and watch TV. Like, go ahead, do your thing. However, in the same way, I get frustrated where if someone's like, oh my days, I really want to start going gym, but I just can't. Because I'm so busy. I'm like, okay, you can figure it out if that is like the dream, if that's what you want to accomplish. So I really agree with that. Something that you spoke about in your previous interview was like your morning routine as well. You used to say that you woke up at 5 a.m., gym, protein smoothie, the momentum Chrome extension to remind you of your goal, Sharpie, post-it note on your computer screen, and and vegetable smoothie. Like, do you still have that same 5 a.m. routine, or do you think like kind of being that rigid is one of the components in making you get burnt out?
It's so funny because some of those things still very much so exist in my life. Um, Very much so, momentum is still my home scheme on Google Chrome,
Yeah.
tells me my goal for the day every day. Um, Waking up at 5 a.m., that is no longer an objective. I do often wake up at 5 a.m. and that is more a reflection to me. That's now a warning bell that if you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to get ahead of your day, that means that you have not been managing your time or your expectations correctly. So I do often have to wake up early to get stuff done because I've tried, and it just tells me I've tried to put too much of my day.
Yeah.
Now, like I'll naturally wake up about 6:30. Very okay if I wake up a little bit later, 7:30, etc. I don't even set alarms now, to be honest with you. My body will wake up around when it's time to wake up. I will wake up in a healthy way normally. It does that. I will do a breathing exercise now. On a good day, I will do also some meditation, some journaling, do a little bit of reading. So that's now, I guess my morning routine is probably more like gearing my mind up for the day, but also taking some time to for me as well. I'll tend to listen to something motivational as I'm doing some of the like standard stuff, like brushing my teeth, checking my weight, all that sort of stuff. And rather than like a smoothie, a fruit smoothie, I still do actually have a bit of like a morning drink routine that I do. And so I make two now. One is uh, one is more a mass. I don't have it next to me right now, but I fill up my bottle of water. So I've got a 2.5 liter bottle of water that I drink every day. So I fill that up first thing in the morning. It's got like little things where it's got the time of the day on it as well, how much you need to drink. So super helpful. I drop an electrolyte in there, put a little bit of apple cider vinegar, put some creatine in there as well. Sip that throughout the day. But then I'll then also now have what do you call them, adaptogens. So I've got a little bit of a blend that I put together on that. much more enjoyable. And just kind of have that as the same way somebody might have a cup of coffee or tea. That's what I have in the morning. So yeah, it feels probably a lot less intense than what it used to be,
It's a lot
but
more.
it is way more rooted and grounded myself before the chaos of my day starts. So I see it way more as a routine, as a okay, you've got to know for yourself. You need to take a breath. You can be ready. And so by the time the day comes, I've already put on my armor and that's after me before I have to tackle whatever is about to come my way.
Okay. Okay, that seems, yeah, a lot more flexible. Because I always find with my routine, sometimes it's good to get out of it. Like sometimes it's good to miss a day. Like if there's something that comes up and I feel a lot more grounded if I can be flexible with it, if I can be adjusted to it. So I normally go gym in the morning. If I don't go gym, I'm like, okay, this hasn't ruined my day. I can still be productive today. So I always appreciate routines that are a lot more like flexible and organic. I wanted to switch it to like TED Talks and ask you, do you still talk to strangers?
um, I will rarely go out of my way to talk to a complete stranger,
Oh,
I suppose. However, a lot of the thesis, I guess, is still there.
yeah,
So if I find myself at an event, I will definitely go up and talk to somebody, particularly if I see somebody looking like they're alone and like they're kind of burying themselves in their phone because it's easier to do that than stand up and like look approachable. So I will go out of my way to make connections with people. So that's still definitely a factor. Just but random people on the roads, probably not anymore, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have a thing against it, but my life is pretty full right now. I don't even if it led to something good like a new opportunity or something of that nature, it's like my plate is full.
yeah,
And probably, and this is once again that more maturing and developing that more executive mindset. One of the things that I now understand is the danger of distraction. So, like I say, I know my plate is full. I've got some really big goals that I'm pursuing. So, even good things, I have to often say no to so that I can say yes to, I won't even say excellent things, the things that I have deemed as most important.
yeah.
So, yeah, like that's that. I would still highly recommend it for people though, particularly if you don't yet know where it is you want to go or you feel like the world around you is not the world that you would want. And that's because what happens when you talk to people on there's more and more people networking, reaching out, strangers on the road, whatever it might be, is you're increasing the surface area where you can get lucky. And I'd say the life I have now is very likely the consequence of me having such a wide surface area for so many good things to happen for me for quite a long time. So now it's more about reaping what has been sown rather than trying to sow.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that you used to follow and you're seeing the benefits of it now, then I'm sure for like it's always going to be good sage advice. You also mentioned around like giving more than you receive as well. So you said I've been blessed with a lot of things, a lot of doors open up to me. I feel like the world would work a hell of a lot better if people that had things were just to focus on giving back. So do you still is that still a big part of your ethos, giving back?
Hmm. It's so interesting hearing my old words. Because sometimes it's like, well, of all of them so far, it's felt like, yeah, I believe that, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, giving back, I still massively believe in, without a doubt. But as I've kind of alluded to earlier in this conversation, I equally believe in putting on your own mask first. So it's it is my nature to be a giver. That's just the way that I'm wired. That is both a huge blessing that has made my life better as well as the life of people around me. But what the 9 years in between has also taught me is that there are many people who will take advantage of that if you do not put your own boundaries in place. So you need to find a way to still maintain the heart of a giver, but move with wisdom. So I still do believe in giving more than you receive, but I will also probably now say that's not for everyone in every situation you should be doing that for. choose wisely. And it's not for people who can give you back necessarily. So it's not a matter of tit for tat and equal
Yeah.
exchange. It's just more around making sure that you are always happy and comfortable with your choices. And I think above all, making sure that it is continuing to be your choice, because probably learning more about boundaries has been really helpful. And learning about boundaries, one thing that has probably come more to mind now, and I've got a deep understanding of, is there are multiple types of boundary violations. And I think the one that I used to struggle with is when somebody else tries to make their problem your problem.
Yeah.
And that's just simply not okay. It's very different if you decide I'm going to take on your problem and we're going to be in this together. But that's very different to when somebody has now decided for you, oh, you will now have to be in this with me. So as long as you are maintaining your boundaries and you are constantly making the choices around where you want to give of yourself and giving yourself in a way with no expectation of return, then I'm fully supportive of it. But where I have a problem is where you're being forced into something, coerced into something that you may not want it to have done, or you're not entirely comfortable with, or you might not want to do with or for this person, but you're doing it because, oh yeah, it's a good thing to be given and to be kind and to serve. It's like they are, but they can be abused.
No, I think that's a very mature way of seeing it. I feel there's a idealistic way in what you said in 2017, which is like, yeah, just always be giving, always be giving, always be helping. But there's also like, make sure that you have, you don't have too much on your plate. So you're actually serving the people, that you're actually helping the people that need help as well. Not just help every single person, help the people that it feels right to you as well. Before we move on into like the more closing questions, I want to ask like a personal one. Just how is your journey with dyslexia, and like how has your experience of it like changed over the years?
Um, how was my journey of dyslexia? It's weird because I don't even really think of it as a journey, or as a thing. I just see it as just an aspect of who I am.
Yeah.
My my brain is wired differently. I think in different ways, and that sometimes results in things which are made my life difficult when I was younger, in particular with reading and writing. But then also now makes my life opens up a new world to me because I literally process the world differently. So therefore, I come up with completely new and novel solutions for life. Um, I will say that, and probably I haven't really noticed it, between the improvements in technology and between the also me just continuing to learn, a lot of the barriers that I used to struggle with dyslexia are just decreasing. And that's like I say, part of that's me growing and improving. Part of that is the world around me getting better too. Using AI is a huge leveler. Using small things, so there's a tiny thing I have on my computer now called Whisper Low, I think it's called. I hold down a button to start speaking. It literally will dictate exactly what I'm saying. It does it in a really good way. I also, as you found out in the preparation for this call, I've got support around me. So if you're gonna email my business account or my personal account, 9 times out of 10, the person responding is not going to be me. If I don't, the things I used to struggle with, like keeping myself organized and getting to here and there and managing my diary and emails, that's somebody else's job now. I've hired somebody and they make me extremely effective at that. And while also the areas where it might have felt like I was dropping the ball to other people, they also take care of that too. So
Yeah.
I was a few minutes late to this call. It was you and Shanna that sorted it out, right? Nothing to do with me. You got what you needed. I saw what was in my diary at what point. All I have to do is follow that. So yeah, yeah, I feel like the world has made it easier. One of the things that I am constantly conscious of, as you would have seen it if you received an email from me, is okay, also be an ambassador. So it's fantastic that you were able to climb onto the heights that you've climbed to and you've got the life that you've had. But not everybody has had that. And sometimes all people need to see is that it can be done. So that's why I'm quite open about everything. I'm now an ambassador for the British Dyslexia Association. In the end of every email, it will say something along the lines of like, sorry for any typos, I'm likely dyslexic. That's in my business emails, that's on my board emails, that's in my work emails. So when you see the director of innovation, like one of the people higher parts of the organization is so willing to talk about this while also embrace some of the vulnerability that comes with it. Yeah, I still have some typos, it still happen. It just sets the tone differently.
Mm.
I've had so many people in so many random parts of my life reach out to me and say, you know what, I saw that you said this. Thank you so much. Can we talk for 15, 20, 30 minutes? I want to talk about my experience. I want to talk about my son. I want to talk about my daughter. Would you mind meeting them? Can we go for a coffee? Can I, whatever it might be? I'm like, you know what? Cool. Because I felt like I was so lucky for the level of support that I received growing up. And I know that's not everybody's case. So whatever I can do today to be that light to somebody else, sign me up.
No, that is really good. And again, I think that's evolution of the message you said before, which is like giving, but making sure that it feels right with you. And you've used a part of your identity, which is your dyslexia, to educate people and to support people as well. So I think that's a very commendable thing you're doing. I wanted to ask you a question of what would you tell 2017 Claude, the one that walked into the studios at Roundhouse?
Whoa, what would I tell me at 17? I don't know if I can give you the real answer. To be honest, that one might be a little bit too spicy for the radio.
We could blank it out.
I'm more thinking whether or not that's a part of me I want to give. Uh, for the most part, I would say to myself that you've got this. That it might not look like the way that you think it is, or it will be. It's going to get really hard, but you've got everything inside of you that you need to be able to make it through. So don't give up. The reason part of me, so what I was going to say very explicitly before that, I don't mind sharing it now, and that I've had a chance to think about it, was like this person, do not date them. Um, that was derailing in two situations. Um, but the reason I wouldn't say that, to be honest with you, is as hard as those situations were, and as high as the prices that I paid, and it's not just about the dating and relationship stuff, this is across the board of everything that I've been through in the last 9 years. As hard as it has been, as much as you paid, as much as you had to give, as much as you may have suffered, those were all the ingredients to make you who you are today. And like those difficult moments have given me like a well of patience and compassion that I think is, in all honesty, the thing that makes me stand out the most in most situations. Because yes, I can be focused, I can be hard, I can be direct, I can be all of those things that you might expect of somebody's boss. And yes, I can do the whole inspiring vision side of it, etc. Like that's all there too. But what seems to be consistently different with me in most situations is there's also a whole nother dynamic of when I see somebody's pain in such a wide range of spaces, I don't I don't pity them. I don't even have sympathy for them. I empathize and relate with them because I've been there and be able to like actually understand what it means to be honestly suffer in one way or another. It helps you to connect and support and inspire and lift people up in a way which you just can't if you've never truly been there. So yeah, I don't think I would change anything. I don't think I'd give myself any advice that would help me avoid anything other than but I would, like I said, encourage myself that it's going to be hard, but you can do this. You can do hard things, but keep it.
So what's next for Claude Williams? What's next for Dream Nation?
Global domination. No, let me be more serious. Um, I've got 8 goals that I am constantly focused on now. And I think they are the goals that I'm going to spend the rest of my life pursuing, to be honest with you. Um, they are to be in great health. It is to live somewhere that I love. It is to have a fantastic relationship with my future wife and family. It is to be very wealthy. There is a number behind that, but I'm not going to share that for this podcast. There's to be strong in my faith. It is to be a world-class executive. It is to grow a large and passionate audience base. And the last one is to have inner peace. So as long as my life is going to look like me consistently taking steps towards each of those goals, um, the next noteworthy things for me that is looking to change is, as I alluded to earlier, I'm going to be building a business. Well, not going to be. I am building a new business. That's on that side. Um, I'm going to be opening a podcast studio in central London, video podcasting to be more precise, and got quite a few things that I'm going to be very differently to what the industry is used to. Um, Not quite ready to share those details just yet, but what I can say is keep an eye out for A1 Content Studios. Is if we can pull off the vision behind it, it's going to be something truly special.
I can't wait to see what you create. But thank you for coming back onto the show. I mean, I've really thought when you told me that, yeah, Dream Nation was finished, you're not doing it anymore, that this was going to be just a story of like sadness, of remorse. But right now, I see it as like a story of hope, triumph, because you've accomplished probably so much more than you could have imagined in the different roles that you've got into. And it feels like you're a lot more focused, laser focused on what you want to accomplish. Thank you for like saying your story, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of people.
Thank you. And I do want to be clear, Dream Nation will come back, and it'll come back in a
Hey,
really powerful way. But everything in its time, in its season, and now is neither the time nor the season for Dream Nation. So, but when it does, I think it'll be so much more impactful than it
I can't wait to see it. So see you in 10 years, Claude, and we'll talk about it then.
See you then, bro. See you then.